All right, boys. It has been like a week since I last uploaded, so I know it's been a while. This video was taking really long, and I was busy like throughout the entire week. Peter Yan won. That's good. Too bad Pantoja like broke his arm and stuff. But yeah, this is the definitive. What that words? The definitive edition of every JDM fight, up until before we got on Contender Series. So enjoy, God bless, and let's get right into it. Versus Alden Bates. All right, so we got a fresh 19-year-old JDM going up against a 29-year-old Alden Bates, which is genuinely bonkers, considering JDM hasn't like fully grown yet. And now we're in round one. JDM is more so on the back foot. Not the best technique in terms of striking. He's very flat-footed, right? He throws a lot of sloppy kicks to the body and falls back and falls on his back, and they end up in a clinch. And as I was studying JDM's like tape, I noticed that he was like more so a wrestler in like his early career. And then JDM manages to get up by God's grace, and he gets the mount. Bates manages to get up fairly easily due to JDM's lack of grappling proficiency, and it's obviously most definitely like a strength gap since Alden Bates is like 29 years old. And then Jack tries the other trip, but it's not effective. It's not working, and they end up at a clinch once again. And Bates attempts guillotine, and once again they end up on the ground. And JDM as mount. There was a lot of grappling in like his early career. Like I feel like I said that already, but there's not enough of a testament to say how much the grappling there was in his early career. JDM somehow manages to mess up getting himself into a triangle choke. Either triangle was super shit, or JDM had like really good defense. And then he managed to get up, and yet again JDM still has no technique, no feints, no nothing, and he seems very like timid, and it's not the JDM that we're seeing today. Like you can definitely see that there's like an insane progression in the way he's fighting, the way that he's been fighting back then, and he doesn't have a lot of defense either. This is his first fight, and he's only like 19. So what can we expect? Jack shoots, and he manages to get in some ground and pound, which is like fairly impressive because like he hasn't really landed any, like really significant strikes throughout the fight. And he attempts a guillotine of his own, and then Bates manages to keep his hips up, effectively not allowing Jack to get to get like his full like wrapping of his legs, to get the full body lock on. And I have no idea where the hell all the blood came from. When I was watching, I had no idea where all this blood came from. But they managed to get back up, and Jack shoots once again. And that's the end of it. And that's the end of the first round. Yippee, yippee-ki-yay! Jack managed to survive the first round by God's grace. And considering Jack did a lot of rugby before, before going on full-on MMA, you can understand why he would have attempted to shoot so many times, I guess that's just the Aussie in him. All right, round two. So Jack shoots another takedown early. Bates, or JDM's mouthpiece came out. I'm not sure whose mouthpiece came out, but someone's mouthpiece came out. And then JDM goes for a single leg. I don't know why I put out the mouthpiece thing. I don't know why. My notes are so scrambled and all over the place. JDM goes for a single leg and fails it. There's like a super awkward section where they're just kind of in the corner, and JDM seems to have a decent control overall, but no like real finishing threats. JDM seems to be gassed from all the grappling and decides to shoot again, but his takedown is not very good. All right, it's 19-year-old JDM, boys. Give him some grace. Another awkward segment where they're just in the clinch, and JDM is trying to get like takedowns continuously. Bates ends up on top, getting mounts. I don't know what JDM was trying to do. And on the way down, of course, Bates gave JDM some good knees, and then he gets in a bit of ground and pound too. And Jack is somehow saved by the bell. He was 100% saved by the bell. And now we are in round three. Bates lands some good striking, forcing JDM to shoot, and they end up in the clinch position. In the clinch position, and separate. Jack lands a pretty clean jab. He then shoots again, but loses top position, and Bates ends up on top. Bates lands some ground and pound. The fight is stopped. JDM is officially 0-1, but at the time he was young, inexperienced, and did not have the best striking. So we gotta give young Jack some grace. Like I did say before, we gotta give young Jack some grace. And of course, starting off as 0-1, it's not that bad. Surely he won't go 0-2. Surely. Versus Darcy Vendy. JDM is back like 2 months after the loss. I checked on Tapology and he came back 2 months back. I'm not too sure why, but let's look into it. Jack's a lot more proactive in this fight. Technique has definitely improved a lot more from the Alden Bates fight. They get into a clinch for quite a while, and there's a lot of inactivity. Like, there's a lot. Bro, I was getting so bored watching all these fights because I had to, like, 2 times speed them because they're clinching so much, they're wrestling so much. YouTube, I swear this is like a normal sport. Niggas are just getting on top of each other, bro. And niggas are getting, like, super, super close, like, each other's necks. They're basically kissing, bro. And then Darcy throws a head kick and slips. Jack is showing promise in establishing combos from his jab. They end up in a clinch once again, and Jack has a nosebleed. They're just kind of in half guard right now, and there's no real submission threats. Jack attempts to get up, but leaves his back wide open, and exposed. He's exposing himself. Darcy Vendy, causing Darcy to take his back and sink in a rear naked choke. Jack is now 0-2, and this is where the spark begins to light up. This is where things change big time. This is where Jack becomes JDM. Versus Brand Cogill. Round 1. JDM's taking about 5 months of time away of competition, specifically. Holy fuck, what's in my eye? Away from competition. Jack looks really big and strong. I know that's kind of gay to say, but YouTube, I'm a straight man. Technique has definitely improved. He throws a lot of body kicks, and Cogill gets the trip. Cogill or Coghill, I'm not too sure. Cogill and gets the trip. Jack manages to roll back up and shoot on Cogill. Really impressive head kick, but a miss from JDM. Jack's a lot more confident. Cogill throws a right body kick. Mawashi Giri for any of my karate enthusiasts out there. And Jack manages to catch it, and he punishes it, and he punishes him immediately for it. I don't know if Jack caught him with something, but the camera angle doesn't really let me know how it looks, but Cogill seems to be out. Jack is now officially 1-2, and the train is rolling. The cameras are rolling. All right, versus Glenn Pettigrew. Pettigrew. Excuse me if I'm butchering any of these names. Now, it's 2017. The era of SoundCloud is popping off. Hot Cheeto girls are still a thing. And Jack's about to get his second pro win. Jack's starting off strong, establishing his jab, and having his more iconic high guard that he has right now. He gets caught early in the fight by a lead head kick. And mind you guys, commentators on Jack's fights, they're all like, oh, he gets caught early and stuff like that, bro. Like, the commentary is really not all that impressive. I'm not impressed. All right, I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed by that performance. He gets caught early in the fight by a lead left hook, but shrugs it off like a man. Jack is an absolute boss, bro. Jack, there was a high kick. It's a slip and a miss. It's a slip and a miss though, but managed to get back up. That cage looks oddly like smooth. Not the cage, but like I mean the mats. It looks really smooth. His high guard makes for really good defense. Jack shoots, but then they end up in a clinch. Then gets a takedown, and it seems that Jack's infamous takedown defense has yet to be solidified. So he hasn't, really defined it to what it is today. Jack ends up turning up on his back and manages to shake him off. And kind of like how you can see what I'm talking about right here, right? Like this right here, like in a really weird Ninja Turtle pose. And he just kind of shakes him off. And then what was I about to say? I'm getting so distracted. He shakes him off his back, and then he lands some really good, not good, but decent ground and pound. They get back up and Jack land and JDM lands some knees. I think this is the first time I've seen Jack switch from orthodox to southpaw, and out of all his pro fights, this is definitely the first time I've seen him switching from a stance, which is something that he does a lot more in like his later fights. So it's getting established now already. And then he lands a beautiful jab and a head kick into a knee. And JDM ends the fight. He's now 2-2. The train is rolling. JDM is the boss. And the world is healing, man. The world's healing. All right, boys. So now we got him against Ty Duncan. In the first round, Ty comes out with a lot of... I'm going to call him Duncan. I'm going to call him Mr. Duncan. Mr. Duncan comes out with a variety of kicks in the first round and eventually shoots on Jack. JDM's infamous takedown defense has definitely improved a lot in this fight. He keeps his back up against the cage, and Ty shoots a single on Jack. They disengage and get back to striking. And again, Mr. Duncan shoots on Jack. He manages to get one on him since Jack didn't seem to be expecting it this time. Jack passes up against the cage while Duncan attempts to initiate the back take. But he's not Charles at the end of the day, so I don't think he's going to get it. Well, he doesn't. They end up on the ground, and Jack's landing some heavy elbows. They get back up and are just landing a flurry of strikes on each other. Excuse me. I swear this is the first time I've ever seen Jack throw a spinning elbow. Goodness gracious. His striking has improved a lot from his previous fights, and its timid factor is definitely coming out. And for some reason, they're on the ground, and Jack tries a rubber guard. So that was pretty interesting. As Jack manages to get back up, his ability to get out of submissive positions is definitely showing. Jack is now in southpaw. I'm not too sure why he decided to switch, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. And then Jack lands a clean combo and Ty on. Do I call him Ty? Do I call him Duncan? That looks like he's about to get the finish. A head kick and a takedown from Jack. Duncan got JDM's leg locked up in a half guard position, so it makes it a lot harder for JDM to posture up and, hit him, because, that's just how jiu-jitsu works. Jiu-jitsu nerds. And that's the end of the first round. Round 2, JDM switches off from orthodox to southpaw fairly easily. I didn't even notice it up until the commentator, actually, mentioned it. And Jack lands a really hard body kick on Duncan, and he backs up against the cage. And we all know what happens when you back up against a cage against JDM. And it's all over. Now JDM's 3-2. The world is healing once again. Let's go. All right, now we got JDM up against James Duckett. This is Jack's first and only Cage Warriors fight, so he was just kind of jumping around from promotion to promotion. No, not really jumping around, but you know what I mean. Jack isn't as flat-footed as before in this fight. To compare it to his earlier bouts, there's a lot more improvement in his ability to angle around instead of backing up directly into the cage. There's a really awkward section where they're just kind of trying to clinch and get trips on each other, but nothing really prevails. They're just kind of feeling each other out the same way a very high level mixed martial artists would feel each other out. They just start off slow, and then they eventually pick the pace up, right? So Duckett gets a reversal on Jack. Duckett attempts a Kimura on Jack from side control, and Jack performs a really beautiful transition, and he manages to get his own Kimura in, which is so crazy. Jack is a really not high level, but he's a really good grappler in his early career for sure. They transition some more, and JDM attempts a guillotine. Then he tries another submission with the triangle. Jeez, Jack, as I was saying, Jack was fairly good, at the grappling back then. Back in the day, man. JDM tries for another sub, but this time it's a rear naked choke. He doesn't have it fully though. Jack catches Duckett with a clean two-piece combo, two-piece sandwich. And they end up clinching. They disengage, and Jack lands almost. Jack lands another strike, almost finishing Duckett again. Jack lands some hard ground and pound. Duckett gives up his back, and guess what? Just like JDM, he ends up getting, rear naked choked from, the lack of grappling proficiency. And JDM is just absolutely insane. he has really good grappling. And this is the thing I like. I just love jujitsu. I just love grappling, like offensive grappling specifically, not that lay and pray bullshit. But yeah, now we got JDM up against Luke Howard, and this is his first eternal MMA title defense against a guy that's like Sean O'Malley for whatever reason. This guy looks exactly like O'Malley does. All right, so Jack starts off in the southpaw position. Not position stance, excuse me. His opponent is actually a judo black belt, so we should see how good his grappling proficiency is. There's a really crazy section in the fight where Jack kind of like gets flown in the air. And Jack is definitely like fainting a lot more now compared to his earlier career fights, which is showing his growth, like it's exponential. Jack lands a left hand and a body kick onto Mr. Luke Howard. Then Jack does this thing where he basically just punishes opponent like every time they throw a kick by either, catching it and then punishing them with like a cross or a jab or whatever. That happens, and that does happen like a lot in this fight for sure. And what's crazy is Jack actually ends up catching Luke's like kick, right? And he ends up doing that thing that John Jones did against Stephen Bonner, where he kind of just spins and like hits him with an elbow, which is super creative, and like it shows a definite increase in like his fight IQ and the fact that he's willing to like take a lot of big risks. Because turning your back in a fight, turning your back in like mixed martial arts specifically, is really bad. And then Jack manages to defend a takedown perfectly up against the cage. Now his infamous grappling, his infamous takedown defense is coming through, boys. I saw it. It's so nice to watch fights from back then and just like see like, whoa, this guy like really did improve. Jack is looking for a lot of elbows in the fight. I'm not too sure why. Maybe he wants some John Jones or something, like 24 against 24. Jack, there was an oblique kick. Oblique kick? Oblique kick? Who started doing that? And eventually Luke Howard's up against the cage and just Jack is absolutely hammering him in and just going absolutely berserk on him. Jack is in full control of the entire fight. And somehow, by God's grace, Luke Howard gets a takedown on Jack. If you guys can hear paper turning, it's because I'm looking at my notes. I'm not even watching the film. I had to write this stuff down and like do it that way. But Jack is very, very composed on the ground. Now even managing to reverse positions. I mean, he's done it before in the Cage Warriors fight, but it looks pretty good now, Jack looks for a guillotine, and Luke and Luke gets another takedown on him, and then that's the end of round one. And not a crazy round, but for sure it shows that Jack is in absolute full control in the fight. 10-9 round for Jack, guys. 10-9 round. Okay, round two, and it ends fairly quickly. Jack lands a left hook and a flurry up against the cage, and Luke is out cold. Flatline. Shadow Realm style, man. Alright, now we got another fight against Dean Ambrose. So JDM versus Dean. No, not Ambro. Abramo. Excuse me if I'm, Dean Ambrose? ? I'm so sorry. Okay, round one. Jack's second title defense at Eternal MMA. And his opponent is undefeated. Surprisingly. Surprise, surprise. Will he lose his undefeated streak? I wonder. Okay, so Jack starts off in the southpaw stance. I wrote down position here. I don't know why. I don't know what I was thinking, but it's stance. I'm going to call him Brahmo, his opponent. Brahmo catches Jack's kick, and Jack manages to, carve out a really good reversal, which is, like, not surprising at this point because Jack is really improving. JDM manages to get right back up, since guess where he is, guys? It's up against the cage. Are we surprised? And this is the part of the fight where I was kind of like, holy crap, because Obramo actually catches Jack with the head kick, because his hands went all too like high guardy in this fight. He was just kind of flowing and just kind of feeling things out. He catches him with a head kick, and yeah, Jack manages to recover, of course, by landing a takedown. Getting? ? And that's really like insane survivability from JDM. It just kind of shows that his spirit is really, I don't know why I'm talking about spirits right now. It's within the fight. Let's go for that. And Jack lands some really good ground and pound. And he wins by TKO. Fight's over. That was a pretty wild one, to be honest. But now we have him up against Kevin Uset. I'll just call him Kevin because his excuse me, his name, his surname, excuse me, is really difficult to. I've almost reached 20 minutes. Goodness gracious. If you guys hear a lot of pauses or like a lot of awkward segments where it kind of seems like my voice sounds different from another part, it's because I'm recording this like over a couple days. So please give me grace. All right, so Jack starts off in the orthodox stance. The first strike of the fight is a leg kick, and his opponent is like a really long, lankier type of archetype build, which is something that Jack is gonna encounter a lot in the UFC with Kevin Holland. Who was the other black guy? I forget his name, but yeah, longer, lankier guys in the UFC, and it's just good for him to encounter it now. There's something. Yeah, I even wrote down here. Definitely something Jack will encounter more in the UFC welterweight division. Wow, I am on it today. JDM lands a left hook early, and drops Kevin, but he manages to survive by God's grace. Kevin lands an insane throw, but Jack gets right back up. And I don't think we're talking about this enough, but no one gives like Jack credit for his kicking game for sure. People look at his boxing, people look at his high guard, people look at his setups, his stance switches, but no one gives him enough credit for like his kicking game for sure. Because I mean, he doesn't throw as much kicks now for sure, but his kicking game back in the day was really good. All right. Jack's boxing has definitely improved immensely. His ability to create angles and switch stances is extremely like seamless and very easy. Jack shoots, they're just on top of each other, and I swear YouTube, this is a sport. This is not anything that you would not think it is. And then Jack ends up like posturing up and gets an axe kick in, which is really strange. And Kevin is saved by the bell. Now we're entering round 2. JDM has Kevin up against the cage. Or the fence. The cage. And as we all know, that's not somewhere you want to be if you're fighting JDM. JDM. I'm sorry if you can hear the paper. Please give me grace. And they're in half guard for like really long. For like a really long time. And Kevin is just like bloodied up. He's absolutely butchered from all the elbows that Jaden's been throwing on him. And he somehow survives to round 3. But guess what? Beep boop, beep boop. Doctor stoppage. Kevin can't continue. I mean, he probably would have continued for sure, knowing just like he's a fighter and just like the fighting spirit. But you can't see Jack squat because of all the blood and how messed up his face is. But yeah, man. Now we got the next fight versus Glenn Pettigrew, number 2. How will it go this time, boys? I definitely wonder. Considering that, Jack beat Glenn back in like 2017. He's 7-2, but they're actually both 7-2 at the time. But I guess only one is going to progress to greatness. I wonder who will it be? Who will it be, boys? All right. So Glenn still has more or less the same like erratic style that he had back then, and they're just kind of feeling each other out. Like when I say the exact same style, I mean like the kind of erratic, spazzy style. He seems very like fast twitch. So at the moment they're just kind of feeling each other out. Nothing of real significance has happened, but this is pretty much how JDM fights. First round something crazy. He might get dropped. Something might happen. He might get in a bad position, but he always comes back. Just like if he come back against Islam. All right, and it's pretty crazy to think about because in my notes right here I have that's how Saladadian fights, and he usually just starts feeling like his opponents. I swear this is sport YouTube. I'm not saying anything weird, but yeah, he just likes to feel his opponents out, So pause though, deadass. All right, so Jack tries to land a head kick, and it's a miss. Glenn lands a takedown, but they get right back up, of course. And this octagon mat looks really, really slippery and like wet and smooth, dude. I don't know why it looks like that. I don't like how it looks like that. But yeah, we're gonna get into round 2. And as I said that the octagon looks really slippery, Glenn literally slips right after I said like it looks like wet and slippery, and it feels like if you could pour oil on there, you just like slip on your ass. But now they're just kind of trading in the pocket. And Jack drops him with a left cross. And by God's grace, Glenn survives, ? But it's all over, I don't know why the ref didn't stop it sooner. And Glenn was just kind of like trying to, survive. So it was really weird. I didn't like the stoppage. It was way too late. But now we got the last and final fights before Jack ends up on the contender series. So far, this is his rematch with Alden Bates, who's old, who's an anchor right now, still hasn't gotten into the UFC somehow. But Jack has grown immensely. Before I get into the fight, of course, I just want to talk about how Jack has grown immensely from a 19-year-old kid who just kind of was very, I wouldn't say timid, but like he definitely didn't know much at the time. And that's what you'd expect from a mixed martial artist. You can't really expect him to be perfect day one. That's the beauty of mixed martial arts, or martial arts in general, or just life in general, where you get to improve yourself every single day. And I feel like as I speak more, I get to improve my vocabulary more because, as you guys notice, I leave sections where I'm breathing. I leave sections out where I'm kind of like stuttering, and I feel like that makes the videos a lot more authentic and a lot more real, opposed to like having an AI voice or making like real scripts. This is the only time I've ever made a script, by the way. But the only reason I made a script because I don't have a setup right now. I just kind of have my phone. And I would prefer if I could watch the fights and then commentate at the same time, but I can't do that because I just have my phone on me right now and I edit everything off my phone. And I just hope by God's grace I'm able to get a setup, an iPad or whatever, to make my journey a lot more easier. But thank you all for like making it like to this section of the video, man. God bless. Now let's get into Alden Bates. JDM versus Alden Bates #2. The first man to ever give JDM a loss, and they reunite. This is the true test, or if Jack has truly improved. I wonder. Alright, so round 1. And Jack starts off in orthodox, and if I'm going to be truly honest, it doesn't seem like Alden Bates has really made any crazy improvements. Or maybe that's just me glazing, Maybe that's just me glazing Jack, I don't know. And Jack's doing a lot of fades and level changes, which is something that I'm mentioning now, because that's a surprise tool for later, alright? Jack times a perfect leg cross, Jack times a perfect left cross from Bates throwing a jab, and Bates has passed away. He's dead. That's the fight. That is literally the entire fight. I'm not even joking. And for some reason, while he's out, Bates tries to flick JDM off, which is like such sour loser behavior. But yeah, man, it's just, yeah, I feel like that's the reason why some fighters would never really progress as far as they wanted to like progress. You gotta be humble and have humility and want to improve constantly, bro. So I feel like as a fighter as well, I'm next year I'm going to focus more on my grappling on jiu-jitsu. I'm in uni right now and I still want to get my MBA and stuff, but I'm crowing right now. But thank you all for watching the video. I want to make it reach to a half-hour mark so that, you niggas can actually enjoy this. But God bless. Thank you all for your time. Thank you all for being here. I really hope this video blows up because it took a while. And the fact that I had so much going on last week and I couldn't record and I haven't uploaded in like 8 days, it bums me out. But thank you all for being here. God bless. And love and light to everyone. Boom. And before I go, just to clarify, I am probably not going to do a part 2 again on this phone. I'm not even joking. Because this thing is 28 minutes long. I got to edit. I got to get screenshots. And I'm working off my phone alone. So if this video gets like 1,000 likes, I'll make a part 2. Question mark? Maybe? I'll make a part 2 because this is his early career. And then it'll be Jack's... What can I say now? Like his current career within the UFC. So DWCS is it's basically a part of the UFC. So once I get a good setup or a decent setup, I'll do the part 2 because this took way too long. This was extremely strenuous and like hard to think about and hard to like write and make notes. But I feel like my fight IQ has also improved because I'm watching someone else improve their own fight IQ at the same time. But yeah, that's the gist of the video. Thank you for being here. Thank you for simply being who you are, and yeah, I'm just hoping 2026 is a good year. And Jack Della is definitely one of my favorite fighters ever. And I just hope that he comes back He will come back, man. He always comes back. He always brings that fight. I don't know who he would come back against, but he beats everyone. He beats everyone in welterweight though. I know it sounds like super biased, but like it's true. You know, he beats everyone in welterweight. So, again, goodbye.